Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Joystick Maverick. You're joined by me, Ernie Hawkins, aka Ernie UXD on social, and Dominic Irvin, aka El Bizza on social, your
Yep.
hosts. It's been a while since we had an episode. Last week was a little bit of a hiatus for the pair of us. Had some some obligations to take care of, but we're back this week. It's going to be kind of a little bit different. Past two episodes, we've kind of broken down the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode at the end of the episode. We're actually going to punt that this time around and break those down in a separate video. So if you're here for that, if anybody's here at all, go to the other video. This ain't that. But this week we do have some kind of cool things I think we can talk through. And this week we're going to kick things off with a little bit different. Instead of it just being Dom talking at each other, we're going to try throwing a couple of visuals together and see if we can't make this a little bit more interactive. Let's see. So, one, bam.
Oh, dang, dude. That
So
looks
this week,
good. That looks
thanks,
real
man.
good. Yeah,
Thanks,
I like
man.
that. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. Doing my best here.
No, this is
Uh,
great.
all right. So the first things first, the state of gaming. This is a segment I really want to just try to touch base on something big coming out in the next couple of weeks or the next
Yeah.
week or so. We're starting out every episode leading up to now. We've kind of talked about that we're starting to roll into those big release seasons. This big release is actually going to be pretty obvious. It's that time of year. We had opening day just like last week. So, of course, we're going to get the MLB The Show
The
21.
show,
So
man.
it's I love the cover artwork for this year. I'm so excited. I've seen a couple of the video clips for it. It looks awesome. I think the last time I played like a baseball game in general was 1995 on Game Gear, the World Series baseball game. So it's been a little while, but I mean, let me tell you, Don, the graphics have increased since
Well,
1995.
yeah, obviously. I
I'm
mean,
not
I
aware.
my
Way
dad and
different.
I played Ken Griffey Jr. baseball on N64 for years, like, and that was when he was a Mariner and not
Dang, not a wow,
and
wow.
the show is incredible. I played the show probably in like 2011, 2012, when I was living in Ghent, Norfolk, and I used to play it all the time, and I really enjoyed that game. And this looks incredible. I love it. And I do love Tatis Jr. I mean, he's incredible as well. I like him being on the cover. San Diego Padre, my
I mean,
hometown.
there it is. Yeah, man. I mean, it's. I think to me, I think it's definitely going to be a step up from last year. I mean, I didn't really hear much about it at all. I think the COVID era kind of kicked off and it really took out any kind of those big game releases. And maybe that's not true, but like I didn't really hear much fluff about it at all. In fact, probably the biggest like sporting game I heard about during the entire COVID season was like the NCAA
Football
from
coming back.
2014. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's coming back.
this people streaming those. So I'm always kind of a pickup game player with any sport game in general. I don't go through the whole season, but I hear a lot of these kind of new features are going to be bolstering that. So one of the
Well,
other things, go ahead.
so the show, I mean, the show has always been a staple of PlayStation, and we should talk about that a little bit because that's a huge thing. Is that this is like the first PlayStation property that's coming to Microsoft consoles. So
Yeah,
about last year, they had announced that the show 21 and on, was not going to be a solely PlayStation game, which every show before that was PlayStation,
see, I didn't know
all the
that.
way.
I know that
Yeah,
they didn't know that was an exclusive, like your
complete.
Oddworld or something like that.
It was done by Sony Games. Like, it was done by them. It was always going to be a Sony exclusive. And for them to now come out and say, hey, we're partnering with Microsoft now, and we're gonna have it on Game Pass day and date, which is enormous. I mean, Game Pass just continues to show its value
Yeah,
in its space.
I think one of the things I saw, even just looking through, just kind of getting information on the game itself, was that even on the Xbox, which is such a big dick move from PlayStation, even
Yeah.
on the front of the Xbox cover is a PlayStation logo. They're like, yeah, you don't get to hide it. It's our game. You're welcome. So now they're just like slathering logos wherever they can. One of the things, the things they say could come in the new game, for the first time, you can take your ball player from the road to the show and use them in other game modes. Now your ball player can be a two-way star. In the Diamond Dynasty, we have streamlined programs to provide you clear goals and more rewards based on how you play the game. Here's where I think the only thing that really calls me out is the casual player. Really, it's an easier, fun pick up and play experience with an emphasis on learning the game. Probably not the learning the game part. I did play little league, not to brag. But for me, I think it's if the people that are really just into building out the seasons over time, building the characters, that's going to be kind of big because you can actually look at. I guess they have things for updates to the franchise, but also looks at from like March through October. So it's the full baseball season, all 162 games, which is kind of cool. And I think we're going to see a lot of things happen as it updates with live data and things like that.
Well, that's the big thing about sports games right now is sports games have really taken a games as a service, a let's cater to more than just a hardcore sports fan out there. I mean, look at NBA 2K. Like NBA 2K for someone like me who was never really big into professional basketball at the NBA level, was more of a college basketball and NCAA person. That game I played 20 because it was on PS Plus, I think at some point, 2K20, and their version of Road to the Show, which is like their pro player where you start in high school and then you kind of go up to college and then you go to the NBA, or you could skip all that and go to the NBA. And there's like star power in these games. I mean, Jesus and Miro were NBA 2K in NBA 2K20. I think your coach was played by like Idris Elba, which is insane.
Really?
And yeah,
that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's all this star power in there, and you meet like LeBron James and you meet Michael Jordan and all that, and it's really cool. And to see the show kind of take those concepts and move them as well in your kind of creative player in your road to the show. There, I remember when baseball games were just you logged in, you booted it up, you picked your team, and you played.
That's it.
That's really it.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a little butthurt that like you can get Idris Elba to play your coach, in a video game, but I can't get my GPS or Siri to sound like it. If I can get his voice to tell me to take a left or like to curse at me a little bit, like you missed that turn, do a U-turn, you nutter, or whatever it is he says, that would be great.
I would just be in the car. I would never leave the car.
Hey, what do you think he says if you miss it 3 times in a row? I think he just fucking stopped saying something. He's like, you're clearly not going to where you want to go.
Yeah.
The other thing about this game is that it's actually got a Jackie Robinson Deluxe Edition and I believe an MVP edition. So this version comes with this pictured here. You kind of get this metallic tin. You've got the MLB The Show hat there. Let's see, you actually get dual entitlement. So not just a PS4 disc, but also PS5 download code. See the steel box I just mentioned. And specifically, which is kind of neat, is if you buy this version, you get early access, which is why it's relevant to this week's episode. So the normal version that comes out on 420, I'm talking about. But early access is this Friday, 4/16. So if you get a little early, you can kind of get some game going, get your season started, and then 420 comes around. And in the state of Virginia, I heard some things are now recreational legal.
Or moving that way.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying. So hopefully that'll be, a really great 420 for everybody involved. The other thing, of course, which is really nice, PlayStation will donate $1 to the Jackie Robinson Foundation for every collector's edition sold in the United States, which is great. There's a couple of different, choice pack stuff and things to help with the game, like double dailies, 25,000 stubs, whatever that means. Hopefully, you know more than me because clearly, I
think it's just currency.
25 years behind, yeah. But that's pretty dope, actually. But no, I think it's going to be probably the bigger game for a little while until college football comes out. We start seeing some other games like that.
Yeah, we don't have a lot as far as kind of releases coming out over the next couple of months. We're getting into the video game announcement season, though, which is really cool. We have E3, which had some big news. E3 announced that it's a fully digital event that's happening in June. There's not going to be a showcase in LA like they did they canceled that last year, and Sony's skipping it again, which is insane.
Really?
There's been a little bit of some controversy behind Sony right now. You have Jim Ryan at the helm who's I I don't know the specifics, but it kind of came out that they're doing a remaster of The Last of Us, the original Last of Us, which they've already
I
remastered once for PlayStation 4. And
yeah,
there's no need. Like what? There's no need to
it's like
remaster
a
for
cash
PS5.
cow grab,
Yeah.
right? Like I know The Last of Us is already getting it got some people cast even for the live action for HBO. So it's like
Hmm.
you're not just double dipping at this point. You're like, I don't know, you're making a candle as often as you're dipping in that bucket. You
Right.
know, like it's so often that we're almost going to be kind of fatigued. And granted, there's a big audience that's never heard of Last of Us,
There
and
is.
they'll
And
find
Pedro
it all on
Pascal being Joel is going to be a lot of people. And
exactly.
I don't remember her name, but the girl who played Lyanna Mormont in Game
It's
of
the
Thrones
only
is
way
one of
I
them.
know her
That's the
that
only thing
frick.
I've ever seen her in.
So it makes you wonder how many other reoccurring characters from Game of Thrones are also going to be in that show, right? Because if they're
It's
both
an
in Game
HBO
of
show,
Thrones,
so
yeah, I mean, don't break the formula if it works.
no, especially
Next,
those characters.
yeah, for sure. Well, actually, and going back to your point though, but with PlayStation kind of blowing off E3, you got to wonder if it's just kind of again this kind of this big dick energy from PlayStation saying like we really don't need E3. Like people,
You get
they're
scared,
stuck
dude.
in they're stuck inside. They're going to need us, right? Like this, they're going to want to be doing something on their console that they can get or couldn't get, and then finally got or still want. And then we've got this system where they just turn it on. This home screen pops up, and they can advertise for free. They don't really need E3 to announce anything, unless it's like VR2, which I've seen. It's
They
kind
did
of floating
announce that,
around.
yeah. You get nervous though with that PlayStation mentality because I mean, PlayStation hit it out of the park in PlayStation 4, but right before PlayStation 4 was PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 3 took a long time for people to adopt. I mean, people were like, when the messaging from Sony when PlayStation 3 dropped is like, if you can't afford it, like get another mortgage on your house. Like that's terrible marketing. And you're kind of getting into this that same kind of Sony coming up in PlayStation 5 right now where they know supply is limited. People are trying to get their hands on it, but you're just seeing this, and I can't think of the word. Like it's a specific word, and it'll come to me later on, and I'll yell it out. But you get to this point where
Yeah.
Sony feels like they took their foot off the gas,
Mm.
where Microsoft is stamping their foot through the car because the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series S, out of the box, you can get Game Pass. And Game Pass gets you every single AAA title that Microsoft puts out day and date
Yeah.
and hundreds of other games. I haven't bought an Xbox game in years at this point since Game Pass was a thing. I got to play everything that Microsoft came out. Gears of War 5, day and date. I played that on Xbox Game Pass. Microsoft Flight Sim, day and date. I played that on PC Game Pass. Forza Horizon 2, Game Pass. Like you don't have to buy this stuff and then you're
Yeah.
not obligated to spend 60, 70 bones on a game and then
That's a
all right,
really good point.
hey, I mean, I'm interested to see what Sony's going to do to combat it because PS Now and PS Plus are not it right now.
No, that's a fair point too, and maybe it's a strategic decision. I mean, I hate to even try to pontificate on what Sony's doing because let's be real, Sony slash PlayStation has never really made too much sense. Look at Spider Man, but for me, it's I'm thinking that okay, they know they don't have a full market saturation, right? They don't have all of their potential buyers don't have the console they're going to want to market for. So they're trying to, I guess they could potentially just stop spending marketing dollars, don't blow a bunch of budget at E3, wait for people to get the console because they have some learning from PlayStation 3,
Yeah,
and then they can come back next year, post COVID, full blowout. I mean, if I was being strategic and then just kind of thinking, okay, do we blow 5 billion this year and then really net almost, whatever value from it, or do we
hmm
blow 5 million next year where everybody's back in the wild? We've got somewhat of a live in-person system. Do they feel like maybe their console really needs somebody to be physically touching it, physically playing that wow factor? To be fair, VR2 is only going to be really sweet if in person. Like, how do you show that on a 2D screen how great it is? It doesn't really translate unless you're experiencing that and you're watching somebody like weep tears through the virtual like goggles, like, oh my god, it's so beautiful, oh my god, I'm crying.
I
Like
have an
that's
Oculus
maybe
Rift S, and like it's 1440p, it's high fidelity VR, and it's okay.
so.
It's in a box right now because I played Microsoft Flight Sim for a little bit. I played No Man's Sky. Played for some reason I had a Half-Life Alex. Don't know how I bought that because I didn't have VR when it came out, but I played that for a little bit, and it's cool. Like it's gimmicky though at this point. Like it doesn't feel real yet. I mean,
Yeah.
I want like Ready Player One style VR where I feel fully immersed in the system, which
And
is
maybe
good.
that's what they're trying to build towards.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they're trying to hunt a little bit. It's starting to feel a little bit like I think it was the Star Trek movies where like some of the odd numbered movies were like the worst ones, and then
Mm-hmm.
the even number movies were good. Is that I feel like it may be starting to happen with PlayStation. Now, granted, everybody has their favorite PlayStation. They also have the first PlayStation,
Yeah.
but like you gotta wonder if there's got to be some kind of market research that said, hey, don't spend the money here, just play a little bit. You're not gonna lose all these fanboys and fangirls. Just do it next year.
Right. I mean, it's like WoW expansions as well. I mean,
Yes,
you have like
yes, it
Burning
is.
Crusade, incredible. I mean, it was after Lich King is when it started going. Every other expansion was worth it because like Cataclysm
Yep.
was kind of and then Mist of Pandaria was awesome, and then Warlords of Draenor was and then Legion was incredible. So I mean,
Yeah.
you definitely get that, and I see that. I mean, not to say that PlayStation doesn't make great games. I mean, Spider-Man is incredible, Ratchet and Clank is incredible, Infamous is
Sure.
incredible, Uncharted, The Last of Us. The list goes on. Bloodborne, all of those titles are incredible,
Yeah.
and Microsoft doesn't have that power right now in their first party. I mean, you've had over the last couple of years, you've had Gears of War, which is great. I mean, Halo, which is still kind of in limbo because you have Infinite that was delayed, but it's
Mhm.
supposed to come out this year. You have kind of star power on both, but the saying was always if you want to play a single player game, buy a PlayStation. If you want to play a multiplayer game, buy an Xbox. That's not the case anymore. Um, but I'm interested to see Microsoft is making a lot of moves buying studios.
Yeah.
I mean, but they have Bethesda, which is single player heaven for most people with
Yeah.
Skyrim and Fallout and all that stuff and
Right.
Obsidian and all that. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes over the next couple of months as we get into the gaming season of, of the year where things start getting announced all over the place. And we'll have a lot more to talk about with this. Like it's gonna get nuts because we're in the throes of a new generation now, which is awesome.
Oh yeah. And I think what's going to be really kind of neat for us, me and you doing this weekly show, is to see how instead of having a smaller gaming dash up front and then more TV movie at the back,
Right.
we might have to start switching it up because we're out of the blockbuster season and all of a sudden it's in the gaming season. So it'll be a nice little ebb and flow, and we'll feel that coming.
I know I took us on a
Organically.
tangent today too, so
No, it was perfect, man. It was perfect. You're educating me and the audience at the same time.
yeah.
I'm like the every person or the dad whose kid is like trying to learn new games and they want to kind of bone
You
up
gotta
a
get the
little bit.
fork knife with the V
Yeah,
bucks.
that's right. If you're old enough, well, you're definitely old enough. I'm old enough to have watched
Yeah.
the show Lost.
Yep.
That character, what's his name, Huey. He was always kind of the audience. He would always ask the questions the audience was thinking about.
Right.
Whereas everybody seemed to know everything. He was always just kind of like, what's going on. But speaking of things that are coming in the future, coming soon, I wanted to talk about something that kind of popped up recently on Twitter. I think it was 2 weeks ago from our boy Bruce Campbell. It's relevant to
Yeah.
Doctor Strange and in the multiverse of madness. He said he threw out a little picture and he said, "Little oops," and he said, "Oops." So here
So
we go. Do you think this is real? Do you think it's BS? Do you think he went
it
and
was
bought a
posted on
binder?
April Fool's Day. So this was posted on April Fool's Day.
Oh, you got me then.
However,
Here we are. Here we are.
however, Bruce
10 days later, I'm
Campbell,
fooled.
it was still Bruce Campbell still was kind of confirmed to be in Doctor Strange 2 in March, like early
Oh,
March, late
really?
February. So I mean, I think that Bruce Campbell is going to be in Doctor Strange. I don't know if we're going to get like a Army of Darkness, Evil Dead crossover just for a moment, which would be really cool. I'd be really cool to see that.
Even if it's just this, I would love it. And I mean,
Oh,
let's be
immediately.
real. Maybe I should have read where the disheveled man the spelling in the third line was never head of it.
Yeah.
I said I'd never heard of it. You know, nobody's gonna goof that, so that's on me. But I mean, I don't see any craziness. Now, granted, maybe I'm missing something, but it got me so excited that I wanted to call it out, even if I look foolish.
Oh no, you don't look
It
foolish. I
was,
mean,
dude, when he was like, "Oh, I'm looking for the grimoire," and I was like, or the Darkhold, I was like, "Oh, the Necronomicon." I mean, like, and of course, like I'm now I'm like immediately like flipping back from the show on Division and trying to oh man, no, it's just one of the pictures from the library
yeah.
where the sorcerers are. There's no face on it, and then I was like, wait. Didn't another book have a face on it? Are they going to have, Bette Midler in their Hocus Pocus garb with that book? Like if they just start throwing in random like witches with grimoires, that would be pretty dope, I think.
I think so too. I mean, the Multiverse of Madness in itself is going to be a crazy movie. It's supposed, I mean, you had WandaVision setting up this new phase of Marvel movies, but like Multiverse of Madness is really where it's going to start to kick off, because we're getting a character returning that we have seen in the previous movies, because you have Black Widow, which at this point I don't know anything about. My guess is that it's in the past because she's dead, and this is kind of like it
Yeah,
takes place in between movies. And then like the first new movie we get is or Shang-Chi, which is going to be awesome. I love that character. And then
yeah,
Eternals. And then we get Multiverse of Madness, where it's kind of like that return to characters that we know and love already.
yeah.
And there's all this talk about, the Spider-Man being in it from Raimi, because Raimi's doing part of this movie. And like you have Tobey Maguire was talked to, Andrew Garfield was talked to, the guy who played Otto Octavius from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, I believe has been confirmed to be coming back as Otto Octavius.
Jamie
Um,
Foxx is returning,
Jamie
right?
Foxx is coming
Supposedly.
back. Yeah, I mean, so I think this movie's going to be insane.
I
Um,
mean, it to me, this could be like to your point. Is definitely going to be a big launching point for the next phase,
mhm.
and I really because it's got a lot to live up to with Doctor Strange, just the original, right? Like
Yeah,
there was so many visual effects. It was so kind of not mind bending, but this it was so well put together visually. Now you've got the multiverse, and now he's the sorcerer supreme. It's got to be more extreme than that.
oh yeah, and then you have somebody he's going up against. I mean, Wanda is the Scarlet Witch, and like that whole thing. So it's going to be nuts. I'm super excited for that. I really am. Marvel's doing some really cool things right now, and it's part of the reason why we had talked about in the beginning of this episode, where we're going to take a break from talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier and kind of condense it and make it its own show, because there's so much to unpack
Yeah.
in that
Oh
show.
yeah.
We were an episode, like, we missed a week, and you have 2 episodes that we watched within the last 2 weeks. We could spend 2 hours just on those 2 episodes, because
I
there's
mean,
so much there.
we might have to break those episodes out into separate episodes themselves. Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, even
And-
just episode 3. I mean, I think we texted each other about that. Episode 4, you're like, oh my god. But it's starting to you feel the momentum. I mean, you can feel it kind of it's the juggernaut, bitch. You can definitely feel it moving ahead at full speed.
oh
And if
yeah.
we don't keep up with it, or at least start breaking these down,
Yeah.
later on, which I think we should. Me and you talked about this off camera, but those out there, we should definitely wait until the end. And I think we can
Mhm.
call out some of these little Easter eggs that we're seeing, these little hints that we're going to probably miss in the first viewing. We'll notice something in the fifth viewing moving forward. So that'd be good.
The only thing I'm going to say is that Falcon and the Winter Soldier feels like an MCU movie for MCU fans. Like
Yeah,
every
it does.
episode feels like an MCU movie. It feels like Winter Soldier. It feels like Civil War. It
Yeah.
feels like Avengers. It feels like that. WandaVision didn't. WandaVision was like its own thing, and towards the end it started feeling that way. But this one like feels like a full blown Avengers movie, and I'm really stoked. The director's like tweeting out this subtweet stuff that's like, we got a really dope cameo next episode, and everybody's like, who is it? And so we're really excited to keep watching that. So stay tuned here, because we're going to talk all about that.
I really hope he used. I read some of those, and I really hope he's not calling out the way Elizabeth Olsen was like, "Oh, we're gonna have a Luke Skywalker level cameo," and it was like nobody.
Right.
Like, thanks. You got us all. You
It was
jerk. We
white
were
vision.
tuned in. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was so crazy. But yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So speaking of coming up, season
Oh,
2 of
man,
Witcher,
that's a
also game
beautiful man.
related.
That's a
I
beautiful
mean,
man. He's so
PC
great.
Master Race's fan. He's the poster child for PC Master Race.
Yeah.
So it's game related. It's Polish. It's now a monster hit on Netflix. Wrap season 2. I can't wait. I'm definitely excited for what this next season is. I mean, it's awesome because it was so good of a first season that my better half actually wanted to play Witcher 3 on an Xbox. Having never played the series,
Yeah.
he was like, I don't care. I want to get out there and mix it up. So it's kind of it draws back to conclusions to The Last of Us, how that series could be so good on HBO that it could be a gateway drug into games. So I'm interested to see, where this character and the story goes.
I watched the first season once, and it took me a little bit to get into it, only because of the time traveling part of it. Like you have 3 different time periods. They don't do a good job of separating them. You don't know when he's with who and who he's with. And like by episode 6, you're like, oh, I'm starting to get it. Okay.
Yeah, well, his hair never changes color.
So, but as a show, it's great. I love Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill acts the shit out of that show. He's so good at it. All of the people, Yennefer, the guy who plays his bard, is hilarious, and toss a coin to your Witcher is so good.
Dude, it's funny. I had to stop. I watched it the one time through. Michelle was going to start cranking it up again, and I was like, I can't watch it again because it took me like 2 weeks to stop hearing that song on repeat in my brain. And I was just like, it's such a catchy song, but I'm like, I wonder if it's actually in the books. And then again, it's a gateway to find those books and reading them. But to your point, again, it's like you could tell. I think this even filmed in Poland, if I remember correctly. And
I think so, yeah.
The writer is on set and involved, so there's a lot of care given to the character and the portrayals in the series. And plus, Henry Cavill being kind of this video game junkie who has yet again not replied to my request for him to join our show. But
we'll get him on.
Definitely, eventually.
We'll get him on.
Maybe next week.
Maybe.
But no, I'm stoked about it. It's
it's going to be really good.
Another kind of little teaser. So I got to start checking timestamps, man. Now that you threw out the fact that it was April 1st, I believe it was April 1st in Australia when this was put out.
What do we got?
So now I'm pissed off.
So
this is from BossLogic. A little bit of teasing. It's like coming soon. Stay tuned. But on my timestamp, it says March 31st. He lives in Australia. It didn't even dawn on me that he lives in the future, and it was friggin' April Fool's Day.
It definitely was.
How many people want this? I want this.
Everybody wants Daredevil.
What's his name?
Charlie Cox is apparently going to be in Doctor Strange or Spider-Man. I think Charlie Cox is coming back as Daredevil in the new Spider-Man. So I mean,
that's worked for me. If he comes back as Matt Murdock, plays his lawyer, even if it's just like he comes in with the cane and the glasses and that's it.
Absolutely,
tease me a little bit.
Well, you have Moon Knight is coming.
Play with my hair, tease me. You know what I'm saying? Let me get some of that.
Moon Knight is coming. They did the Defenders thing, and that kind of fizzled out. And then you have Oscar Isaac is going to be playing Moon Knight, which is amazing. He's an incredible actor, and he's in that same kind of vein as Daredevil. I think we're going to see Matt Murdock again. I think he's going to come back. I think those Marvel properties that were on Netflix that did really well, you might see them again. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Danny Rand reference in Shang-Chi, just because of that whole kung fu style thing that he was in. And I think we're gonna see them again. Everybody really loved Charlie Cox's Daredevil. Everybody loved John Bernthal as the Punisher. Everybody hated the kid from Game of Thrones as Danny Rand in Iron Fist.
And then, you can't even get me started on that. The minute I found out that the actor it was between that kid and this other actor who played the drunken fighter in like the 9th episode, and that guy did such a great job in that role and made Danny Rand, whoever played him, looked like a punk. I was so
Yeah.
pissed. But look, fast forward, now that guy's in Mortal Kombat. I'll take it.
Oh
take
yeah, oh man. I saw a trailer. When we talk about Godzilla versus Kong, I saw a trailer for Mortal Kombat before Godzilla versus Kong, and I can't wait for that movie.
I'm pumped.
I can't wait for Mortal Kombat. It's gonna be so cheesy, but I'm so excited.
I mean, I mentioned this last week or 2 episodes ago. I've got friendships that are now almost over half of my life long. I mean, actually, no, almost 30 years now. I've got friendships, and they're all based from that. Well, 25-ish years, but they're all based around Mortal Kombat. So for me to see like this next iteration, I even love just hearing that friggin' theme song from the first movie, over and over again. But like to see that come back through fruition and people getting to get back into, like, I think it was Mortal Kombat 11 still out, right? Like they're just
Mortal Kombat 11. It's huge. It's
just like the infinite. They might as well just change that 11 into an infinity symbol, because they're just never going with new characters.
Like what they're doing with Smash Brothers, where they'll just add to it completely, which is awesome. But I want Daredevil. I want Daredevil in Disney Plus. I think we'll get it. I think he's coming back in Spider-Man. I think we're gonna get Daredevil.
It should be good.
Charlie Cox is great ever since Stardust.
Oh wow,
he's the main character in Stardust, dude. That's the only other thing I've ever seen him in.
You're Stardust. You're right. Michelle. Who else? Michelle Pfeiffer was Colin Farrell on that. I digress.
I don't know if it was
look at that. Look,
yeah.
Come on, man. I got ADD, bro. You can't be spinning me in different directions.
All right, let's go. What's next? What do we got next?
Speaking of ADD fever dream, coming in June, evidently season 5 is coming for Rick and Morty. For all you fans, I love this show. It's definitely like the biggest ripoff of like Back to the Future with Doc Brown and Marty McFly and the wonky sister. I mean, it's I love the show because it just doesn't take itself seriously. Dan Harmon, the creator of Community, is obviously at the helm of this show still. So whatever his kooky brain can kind of kick up is really, really fantastic for me. I definitely also like that he lets a little bit of his personal life influence the show. You kind of saw that in the previous season where it's a split between his daughter and a potential and a clone of his daughter. We don't know which is which. So he does or doesn't know which is which. And then he even has this moment where he might kill himself in an episode because he was going through a divorce in his personal life. So it's kind of this, he got to vent, but it also gave it a little bit extra layer to Grandpa Rick here. And then of course you get Morty, who just, it's hilarious to me. Somebody who just does not have a neck in anything. And we're just accepting it. Like, oh, it's because he's a kid. You don't have necks until you're preteen,
right? Until you're an adult.
That's how the world works, right?
I am so far behind the Rick and Morty like craze. I've seen some of it. What I've seen has been hilarious. My brother loves it. My brother got my dad into it. My dad loves it.
Nice.
You know, the kids that, and I say kids that I work with that are in their early 20s, all love that show. And I need to get caught up. I want to get caught up. I saw like the first 2 seasons, then I've seen kind of bits and pieces of everything else. So this is cool. I love that they keep doing it, and I love that it's being kept alive by the fans, because the fan base is, for better or for worse, like completely fervent about the show. They're super passionate about that show.
And they're zealots for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, there's so much kind of, they almost preach the show how great it is. And I say that today because I didn't even start watching the show until season 3 came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's season 3. Oh my God, season 4 isn't coming when? Say, all right, fine. People won't shut up about it when you watch it.
You got to watch. It's like a cultural phenomenon now. It's like, it's like
and
TikTok, dude.
People call it the most random, obscure references, and then look at me like, wasn't that funny?
Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I watched it once, man, or twice on the back with the background on. It's funny, but like, I'm not obsessing over it. Like, okay, Meeseeks are funny. I just said a word, doesn't sound real. For a burger, not a real word. The second thing was not in the show. The first one was, but you have no idea. So like, that's where I think we're still in that fuzzy little brain area of it. But one thing I think we both know, finally, coming soon, the Bad Batch.
This looks
Star
so
Wars
good.
Day 2021. Yeah, man. We obviously we the Bad Batch debuted. I think it was what's the Clone Troop 99, and towards the end of the Clone Wars last season. You know, Ahsoka Tano, she's doing her thing with all the clones, and suddenly we've got a real hardcore app. We're coming in with Clone Troop 99.
That's really good. That was really
good.
Thanks.
That was thanks, man. Good. I've been working on it. That's all I can say, though. I can't do any other sentences. I can just say 99. But
that's really
so they come in, they're like, all right, point us at the bad guys. You start kind of that whole adventure was great, especially because we got to see different flipping faces. I know it's a clone.
They all look different.
I know they're clones, but they're different, and they've all got their own little specialty. And there's a mythos behind what's his name, Echo, there in the back with his pale looking face. He's basically Darth Vader at this point. Like he's just soulless. But no, I'm definitely interested to see where this kind of goes. And what was really nice was in the trailer, it definitely felt like a little bit more cinematic the way they were handling the shots.
It really did.
It wasn't just a cartoon, and like the way, you know, during a cartoon being loosely defined, like Clone Wars, it felt a little bit more grand in scale as compared to, say, you know, the earlier season. That last season of Clone Wars definitely different because of the immediate tie-in. But this takes place immediately after the end of the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
actually at the end of the Revenge
of the Sith. Yeah.
So they're gonna start living in a drastically different universe or galaxy, excuse me, far, far away. And we're gonna have to start dealing with, you know, the Empire coming to life and the Rebels trying to come up. Like it's so I'm interested to see how that plays, and then I definitely want to see, you know, maybe fingers crossed we get some live action stuff later on.
Dude, hats off to the Disney animation team that works on these shows, dude. Because Bad Batch feels so different than the Clone Wars. It's a darker show. Like you can even tell by the color palette they're using, and I'm so excited for these. The amount of Star Wars content that we're getting over the next couple of years at this point is incredible. Both animated and not, because you have this. I think another animated thing that they're doing is the Acolyte, which is based on a Sith Lord from the High Republic, which is really cool. And then you have live action stuff. Obi-Wan, Cassian Andor is getting a show. Ahsoka Tano is getting a show. Boba Fett is getting a show, which is off the charts. And
what?
It's so cool.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, the Bad Batch, it just looks great. And you're right. I like to see the clones have some diversity. And you started seeing that in the Clone Wars with like Rex and his troop, how they had different haircuts or they had tattoos or face markings, and you get some of that legit look different. Yeah. So this is really cool, and I'm really jazzed that this is coming on May the 4th, and we're gonna get so much more Star Wars stuff on May the 4th, because May the 4th is like Star Wars E3, where they just announce a whole bunch of stuff and just get people hyped, and they're like, if they say we're gonna do a Darth Maul show, I will jump out my window and be so happy,
dude. I mean, if they can get, what's his name, Ray Park.
Ray Park did the mocap. You know, Peter Serafinowicz did the voice for Darth Maul. Yeah, because they didn't like Ray Park's voice, so they said Peter Serafinowicz do the voice, and he had one line in the whole movie.
Star Wars is pretty notorious for doing that kind of thing now. Just voice these, and then we're gonna have a whole different person. I even love that that voice actor. I mean, obviously he's a very physical actor as well, but I love the fact that he has such a love for the mythos of it, that even just him breaking down that final fight scene between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, and just the fighting stances and how, you know, just transitioning of going from one pose to I'm you know, Obi-Wan from the Clone Wars, no, I'm Ben Kenobi, to let me fake you out with a Qui-Gon Jinn kind of move. And then that's what really takes him out, is because Darth Maul remembers, oh, that's what your dude did last time. And then 1-2, bam, it's over. Lickety split. And I think that's kind of funny. It's like Ben Kenobi, and it kind of draws a little bit too over towards the fight we saw in episode 4, A New Hope, where it wasn't very much of an epic battle between Vader and Obi-Wan. It felt very geriatric in speed if we look at it compared to.
Well, they're both old,
right?
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where like they were best friends and knew each other's kind of moves, and they're so in tune with the force. So it's almost like there's just a little bit of shifting and changing, and in those micro movements, we're supposed to, we as the audience don't have any idea what's happening. But if you read like the literature on it, or if you
Right.
just you listen to the commentary from the director, it's like there is supposed to be this great instantaneous, very small to the eye kind of dance that's occurring. But in that moment, that was very blatant, the move, and we got to
Right.
see call back to that.
So last thing on Star Wars before we move on.
Yeah,
One of
man.
the things I did read is that they are re-releasing a bunch of the expanded universe books as like they're doing a special collection. I'll have to look it up and I'll bring it up on next episode, but they're doing a special collection of these books.
Hmm.
And included in these books are like the Thrawn trilogy. But the one that really caught my eye is the Darth Bane trilogy is being re-released in this format, which is really cool. And Darth Bane being like one of the best expanded universe books that I have ever read of all time. He's gonna bring them up. He's got them all, don't you? Path to
I
Destruction,
think
Rule of Two. Yeah.
I think these are yours or Mahaffey's. I
They
don't
gotta
know
be,
whose they
yeah, they
are.
gotta, they're so good,
Sorry,
but it's
they
really
are
cool that
awesome.
they're, yeah,
Meet
it's
me in
really
Richmond.
cool.
I've even loved to see a Darth play. Just give me just. I mean, those again. These books are so detailed.
Hmm.
I mean, just the mythos behind these characters, how the role of two came to be. It just to watch. I don't want to spoil anything, but like the fact that there were so many Jedi at one point, and one being potentially could have
Wipe them
taken
out.
all of them
Yeah.
out is insane. Spoiler alert. Guess what? That was way too long ago. Maybe they change it. People have liberty now because things aren't canon anymore, but we'll see.
It's just cool
Um,
that they're taking that older material that has been so beloved and bringing it back to the forefront to say, hey, we really do appreciate these stories too, like with the Old Republic and Revan and all of that. So
yeah.
it's cool.
Well, I think I just saw the Revan lightsaber was released on the Black Series, so the Star
Oh man.
Wars Black
I'll
Series.
just
I mean, I don't have enough money. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I just buy it. I don't want to buy it. I can't buy
I
it.
mean, I saw in the same like week span. I saw the Revan's lightsaber. I've seen Ahsoka Tano's dual sabers in the Black Series. Like, I just again,
Yeah.
people have the wall space. I'm a little tight quartered. I'll just look from afar and appreciate.
Well, that's how my wife is with Harry Potter wands. Like every time she goes to
Oh,
Universal, she has like
nice.
18 different ones. I'll be like, all right, cool. Then I get to buy lightsabers. That's fine.
I think that's a fair trade. That's a
I think
fair
so
trade.
too. Absolutely.
I've got one that's a personal for me, and then I've got one that does everything, all the interactive. So
Yeah.
um, as far as wands are concerned, but that's for another episode.
Yeah.
I think it's time for us to get into the final round. Um, this week,
I love this
again,
graphic. I love these graphics, dude.
I
This is the
appreciate.
first I've seen them. I really love it. So
I got to get some
great.
centering better. I mean, now that like I can see it on my big screen, that
It looks
joystick's a little
good.
off center. But that's me being the perfectionist. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah.
But I definitely I love that we're doing a little transition, and I'll continue to pepper this in the future. But this week's final round, we're not doing the Falcon and Winter Soldier as we already mentioned. But this week we're going to go back to HBO Max, and we're going to talk about Godzilla versus Kong. Oh yeah, the big bad that just. I
I
mean, I
did
liked
not
it.
care for this movie. I just
I mean, I'm not
I
watching it
thought it
like
was
on
so
repeat.
boring. I thought it was so boring.
I mean, Alexander Skarsgård
I love
being kind
him.
of a
Don't get me wrong.
douche,
I love
but
him.
not a douche.
He's
Wasn't
like my favorite person. I I I don't know. I loved
dude.
Kong Skull Island. Okay. I loved the first Godzilla with Aaron Taylor Johnson and
Elizabeth
Elizabeth
Olsen.
Olsen. Yeah.
Yeah,
I look,
brothers that were married,
I
brothers and sisters that
even
were married, right?
I even love the Matthew Broderick, Jean Reno Godzilla from the early 2000s. Okay.
You had P Diddy doing a song for that one too, so that didn't
Right.
hurt.
King of Monsters was mediocre. I mean, I liked seeing Rodan, I liked seeing Mothra, I liked seeing Ghidorah.
Yeah,
this movie, it felt too long and too short for me. Like there was so much thrown into the movies character wise. You had Paperboy from Atlanta. I always forget his name. That guy is in this movie.
His name is Bernie in this movie, which kept
Right. His name
tripping
is
me up.
right. His name is
I was like,
Bernie.
what, dude? Bernie, what? Like, no, I know my name is Ernie, but it's close enough. Like, it gets you.
It's just this. It moved too fast and too slow at parts, and there was not a lot of character development. And listen, I didn't go into this movie thinking it was going to be like Citizen Kane character development. Okay, I know what I'm getting when I'm going into Godzilla versus Kong. I'm getting big ass monsters fighting each other. All right, and don't get me wrong, the set pieces were awesome. Godzilla fighting Kong in the ocean was sweet. Godzilla, fighting Kong in Hong Kong was awesome, and then Godzilla getting his ass whooped by Mecha Godzilla and Kong coming up, and I was like, they're gonna do the Iron Man thing where Godzilla's gonna shoot a beam and he's gonna hit it with the axe, and that's what's gonna happen. So I mean, the movie's cool, and visually it looks beautiful. I watched it on my my Samsung Q80T, and like it was gorgeous. The CGI is incredible. It does not look cheesy at any point. It's just it's Godzilla and King Kong. I knew it was gonna be a little boring.
There were so many things about the movie that, like, okay, to your point, the first one that came out, great. It's real world-ish. That's some air quoting here. Real for those of you listening on the podcast, me and Dom later on, making sure we don't sound stupid. They unless you're going back from the beginning, from episode 1 million when we're there, but the first movie was great because it took place in the real world ish. Vegas is getting demolished. They're going from Hawaii. I mean, that part was great. The second movie, the world's kind of turned to shit a little bit. Godzilla is now free roaming. There's bigger monsters. We've got like Monarch is now kind of everywhere almost immediately. Like I never really caught the difference in time, I guess, between that first one to the next one. Even if it was like a decade, okay, I guess there's some like significant jump in technology. But between this King of Monsters to this one, like,
also Millie Bobby Brown doesn't age, so like she looks the exact same. And you can't tell whether it's a couple of years or a decade or anything from Godzilla King of Monsters to this.
So, and then I think what was also hard for me was like, when did they have the time to build a wall around Skull Island, and then B, make it a 3D supposed dome?
Yeah.
Like, what? We have this technology? I mean, vampires and throughout all of literature would love this. It's artificial sunlight, right? There's no night. They just can be outside all the time. But we've got King Kong, who can evidently just strip a tree and throw it like a javelin, and then totally breach the side of this thing. You mean he wasn't doing that this whole time? And we're supposed to accept the fact it's because he doesn't like water? Nah,
yeah.
I'll give him
now, let me tell you this. The sound editing on this is bar none some of the best sound editing. The music,
in what way?
Like, so anytime you see Godzilla, it's the old school Godzilla theme where it's like bum 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 bum, and like when you get Kong, you get like his specific theme from Skull Island, and then when they fight, like it's an intermix of the two. And then I always love the sound of Godzilla's roar that they kind of like evolved over the years. And then the womp 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 as he's about to fire his
just go Super
his
Saiyan
energy blast. His energy blast. The sound the sound in this movie is really cool. I will say I really enjoyed that portion of it. And not to say like I hated this movie. It's not, believe me, it's no Blood Rain. It's no Resident Evil 6 or 7. But I
still love those.
I do too. I do too.
Apocalypse,
Apocalypse,
Extinction, or
whatever. I think Mike Epps was in Apocalypse. I mean, Apocalypse. Yeah. But I think they're going to keep doing these movies. They said that this was the last one that they had the rights to, and they were going to see how it goes after grossing. I think COVID hitting did this
Mm.
movie a godsend because it would have probably gone up against a couple of Marvel movies in this time slot and
Oh yeah,
would have been completely
it'd
destroyed
have
at
been a
that
flop.
point. It would
It,
have
it
been a
would have been a
flop.
flop.
But right now it's leading the box office 2 weeks in a row because it's pretty much the only thing out there. And it's not up against I think in this spot it might have been Eternals would have been the movie that have come out.
Oh, it would have
It
mushed
would have,
this.
yeah, it would, there would have been no contest, but I think that the timing really worked for this. And look, hats off to HBO giving us like a movie every month, like these kind of blockbuster movies in front of us
Yeah,
every month and not charging that premium that Disney's doing for Mulan, Raya, and Black
it's
Widow.
gotta be hurting their bottom line, man. It's
Oh
gotta be
yeah, it's
hurting it.
got to be. I mean, you saw, I mean, Warner Brothers, like Warner Brothers was like there were studios inside of Warner Brothers that were suing Warner Brothers because of this. Because they're like, no, we're not going to just release this movie on HBO Max. People aren't going to watch it. And no, people are going to watch it. And look, Dune, people are going to watch Dune on HBO Max. I
True,
want to see Dune in
true.
theaters because Dune's going to be gorgeous. But
Michelle loves Dune. We watched the one from the '80s like 2 months ago with what's his face from Twin Peaks.
yeah,
Still
yeah.
great. Sting is in it. I mean, still great.
But you reach an audience with this that you wouldn't normally reach for charging a movie ticket because I'm going to tell you right now, if this is next to Eternals and I have the option of seeing one movie, I'm not paying $20 to go see King Kong fight Godzilla.
It's true.
I'll wait till it comes to HBO Max in 6 months. And unfortunately, even though I know I'll love it, the same could be said for Mortal Kombat.
Very
Nobody's going to
true.
pay to go see Mortal Kombat in the movie theaters at all. Like, it's
Yeah.
just it doesn't lend itself to a movie theater like that, but it lends itself to this format, which I think is really great. I'll be interested to see how Black Widow does because it's coming to that Disney Plus extra thing.
Interesting.
I'll definitely watch it on Disney Plus. I think that even though my wife and I are vaccinated, we'll be vaccinated by that point because our second
Yeah.
shots are at the end of April. We're just, I mean, we bought the big TV because we wanted the movie theater experience in the house and the sound system and all that stuff. And we watched a couple of blockbusters recently in that format. We watched Tenet, which was Chris Nolan's movie last year, and
Yeah.
that's a 2.5 hour movie. And like, hey, I gotta pee. All right, cool. I could pause the movie, go to the bathroom, come back. Hey, I gotta go. I want to go get a beer from the fridge. I can pause the movie, go get a beer, and come back. And like, you
Yeah.
don't get that in a movie theater. You're like sometimes in an uncomfortable seat. You're in like you're
Oh my god, the seats.
the
No, you're
only
right.
thing.
I mean, look at Justice League. It was 4 hours long. I paused multiple times, multiple bathroom breaks. I mean,
Yeah, I know people that watch that movie over 3 days. Like, not me. I had to watch it all in one sitting, but I know people that watched that movie over 3 days that wouldn't have been able to go see that in the theaters.
yeah. No, I mean to your point, I think you're right. We're in the golden age of like comic book cinema, and I think really anything kind of going up against those, they got to be wary of it. You got to hit kind of hard on maybe say 3 weeks after say a big Marvel release now.
Yeah,
And if they're releasing multiple things in say a year, they're doing it probably monthly, May, maybe June and July, and then one in August, something like that. So you got to kind of pick your battles. And it's going to be kind of tough for big movies like say Godzilla versus Kong or Mortal Kombat, same thing. So they've got to really fill
hmm,
those slots. And I think what you're also going to see is that they're going to go up against those like kid movies that are big, like when all the Shreks came
right.
out, and the Minion movies or whatever, like those are going to start filling those brackets too. So they're gonna it's gonna be start really starting to fight for those little slivers, and then you've got DC who's trying to make a comeback. I think with all their different films they're putting together. So plus the Star Wars universe, and now that things are at home and you've got this life post COVID, you're going to see that kind of temperament where the decision is do we pay 15, 16, $20 for two people to go to the movie, or if you're a family of
Yeah,
five, you're going like it's $30. Yeah, pull the trigger. We're staying at home. We got the blackout curtains. We got the 75 incher. Nice, by the way.
Yeah, is it
You're
nice
gonna watch
too?
it. Yeah, I mean, we got 55. It's good. I like it. It's close enough for me. I'm not too far
Right.
away, but like it's. But to your point, man, I think you've got to. It's been a blessing and a curse. For Godzilla v
It really
Kong, it's
has.
been a big blessing. I think I saw a chart. It was saying since Wonder Woman 19 or Wonder Woman 84 came out at Christmas, the biggest spike for HBO Max was Godzilla vs Kong recently. So
Yeah, it
even
was. I
Justice
mean,
League was barely a blip, and it didn't do shit.
well, so I mean, what's really cool is that these, like you said, we're in the golden age of these comic book style movies and media, and each company is taking different approaches to it. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier could have easily been a 2.5 hour movie, but they made it
Yeah,
a 6 episode, 50 minutes an episode thing that promotes engagement, that keeps people, because you can't just do a single month trial and get all of Captain, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
yeah.
You gotta pay for a month. It keeps that
Smart.
engagement. It's super smart. And like I said before, no hate on Kong versus Godzilla or Mortal Kombat or um any of these other blockbuster big budget movies,
Mm.
but you're going to reach a wider audience by allowing people the option of whether I'm going to watch it on my HBO Max account or I'm going to go to the movie and pay for it. You're going to get the money anyway. I
You
mean,
definitely are.
I'm sure the profit margin on HBO Max is a lot smaller than a profit margin on if it's a huge success at the box office. But, there's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration there.
You
Um
definitely are.
and I think as a consumer, having options is a big deal. And I'm super excited about the fact that we have options. Um, I saw Judas and the Black Messiah. Okay. I don't know if I would have caught that movie in theaters.
That was until Godzilla vs Kong. That was the biggest blip after
Yeah.
WW 84. So
Yeah, I saw that. I saw One Night in Miami, which was an
nice.
incredible movie. I don't know if I would have caught it in theaters. I mean, we were at that time
Mm.
before COVID where you had like AMC A List, which was awesome that my wife and I had, but we live 40 minutes from an AMC.
Oh wow.
So like it was still a hike. When we were living in St. Louis and we had it, I mean, we were seeing movies every week, but um living where we are now, it wasn't conducive to that, but
Right.
it's I, there's a lot to be stoked about. And you're not going to get a 5-star Academy Award winning movie every single time out of these HBO Max things, but
Yeah.
Judas and the Black Messiah is an Academy Award worthy movie.
Yeah.
Um, and we're gonna get some really cool stuff from that. I mean, we're getting Kong, or we got Kong, we're getting Mortal Kombat, we're getting
Space
Dune
Jam
from it,
2.
Space Jam 2. Don't even get me started on Space Jam. I can't. No, I can't talk about Space Jam 2 because I'm just gonna get annoyed because Space Jam
We'll wait
1
for when it comes
was
out. We'll wait for when it
incredible.
comes
Yeah,
out.
no, we'll do like the Space Jam 1 versus Space Jam 2. And that's not
Yes.
even a effing
No.
contest.
Hopefully by then I'll have a better presentation thing worked up where we can just kind of show a live
Right.
feed of what we're looking at. But no, I think to your point, I'm excited for what's coming next. We've got a lot of options coming out because of that drought from COVID.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're in the golden age of comic books. But we're also back into a flood of content coming our way. So week after week, join us back here. We're going to be
Yeah,
right
man.
back in the thick of it. You got anything else after show, anything like that?
No, just stay tuned for the Falcon and Winter Soldier updates in a couple weeks. We're gonna really dive into that. That'll be really awesome. And then I would expect to start seeing some streams from us. I think I'm gonna do
Yes.
some Twitch streaming of the MLB The Show game, as
Dope.
well as some other things that
Dope.
are coming up. So I'm excited about that and looking forward to interacting with everybody.
Boom. Sweet. Well, that's it for this episode 3
Three.
of
That's three.
Joystick Maverick. Did I say fourth beginning?
No,
Whatever.
you said three. I caught you.
Episode 3 of Joystick Maverick. We're your hosts. I'm Ernie Hawkins, aka Ernie UXD on social.
And I'm Dom Irvin, aka El Dizza on social.
Follow Joystick Maverick on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Joystick Maverick is the full name for the Facebook and Instagram. Joystick Mav on Twitter. Check us out on YouTube. You can actually watch the show if you're listening via podcast. Go there, check us out to see the visual elements. If you're on YouTube and you just want to listen to us while you're driving, go to anywhere your podcasts are available, or you can check us out at joystickmaverick.com.
Awesome.
All right. See you next week, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
I like when you had